what I did was I combined my experiences on the tour as a player with my psychology background. And I've developed a mental training system called Mach4System. And there's 4 parts to it. And the first part is the mental part. So the mindset. So what are your kids thinking before they go out onto the court? What are you thinking before your kids go out onto the court? Like, oh my God, you know, all that kind of stuff. So parents and coaches, it's important how we act before the match, what we say before the match. If we're stressed and uptight and all that, guess what? Your kid's going to know it right away. They can feel it. So we've got to be able to make sure that we present ourselves a certain way. And I think your children, or you should talk with them about it and say, what's most helpful for you? You know, is there anything you want me to do before your match? Is there anything you want me to say? Whatever, that kind of thing. Because if you're nervous, then you're going to transmit that right to them. They're going to be nervous too. So you've got your mindset. So the Mach4 is, the first one's the mental component, and then the next is body language. And body language is basically an outward expression of how I'm feeling on the inside. And in tennis, most tennis players are very critical and hard on themselves. And then when they do that, then they slump, they drag their racket, their shoulders drop. And how can you be strong for the next point if your body language is down? So body language is important for 2 main reasons. You're sending a message to your opponent with your body language. Let's say you miss a ball and you act, no problem, real confident. That's going to send a message to your opponent that you are confident and it's no big deal. And I'm going to get the next one. I don't know about y'all. I played doubles with Kathy Jordan. She had quite a temper. We got along okay because I was kind of calmer and she was very fiery. She liked to poach and I liked to set her up. And we won 5 Grand Slams together, so we were a good partnership. But I had to play her in singles sometime, and you know, it's kind of like playing your sister. It's hard to play against your doubles partner. But I knew all I had to do was get KJ riled up, and I had her. And I knew how to do that too. She got real close to the net, so she's very susceptible to the lob. So she'd come in, I'd hit my little slice short at her toes, then I'd lob her, she'd scurry back, miss it, and get all mad. Right, she was sending a message to me that I'm like, yes. Because that was my key with her, is that once, or any opponent I played, once I knew they were upset, then that gave me incentive, and that motivated me. But if she'd acted like it was no big deal, then that's a little bit different. It's like Federer. Look at Federer. If he misses, what? Does he get all riled up, children? No. He resets. He always has strong body language. Nadal. Look at Nadal's body language. So you're sending a message. And the second reason that body language is important is because it helps you have strong technique. If your body language isn't strong to start the point, why do you think your forehand's going to be strong? Or your backhand? It's not. If you're slumping around, mad at yourself about the last point, and you're, up to receive, this isn't a strong body language. So you got to get those shoulders back and up, and strong body language so that you can hit your best shot. Intensity level, that has to do with a scale from 1 to 5. With 5, they're swinging as hard as they can, and 1, they're hardly swinging at all. Because what happens, I see it a lot, is that you get in, their kids get in a match, they get up, 3-0, everything's good. They're cruising along, good body language, good intensity level, and then they drop it. They drop their intensity level. They slow the racket down on the forehand or on the serve. Oh, thinking it's 3-0. If I win this game, it's the set, and all that stuff, instead of 4.5 intensity level on my serve. They slow their hand down on the serve. You'll see it many times this week. I'm sure you've seen it many times before. And you'll see it again. But the child has to know they're slowing it down. So in my lessons, when I work with the kids or coaches, when you work with your kids, take them through, this is a 3, this is a 4, this is a 5. Everyone's going to have a different, like my 3 will be different than your 3 and your 3. So you're not comparing yourself to other children, but you need to know what your 3 is, what your 4 is, and what your 5 is. And you need to find out your best range. So for me, let's say on my serve, it's like a 5. I have a really spinny little serve. And if I accelerate my hand at a 5, it makes it much more effective. So before I serve, that's what I'm thinking, 5 intensity level. And I know that. And the second I slow it down, I can feel it. And then my opponent steps in and creams the ball. It's because I lowered my intensity level. But the children have to understand what that feels like. Because we can't go out during the match and say, you know, you need to up your intensity level. They've got to be able to recognize it. So that's why you need to practice it in matches, or in practice and in lessons. And it's not about being critical. It's about saying, okay, what was your intensity level on that? A 3. Okay, and what's your best intensity level? A 4. Okay, let's get it back up to a 4. And you train them like that, and it's going to again and again and again. I mean, how long did it take you kids to be okay with hitting forehands and backhands? Years, right? This won't take years. But if you start training in it now, this Mach4 is the glue that helps all these lessons pay off with the mindset. Because you can have the best technique at this tournament, but if you can't control your emotions and you get all upset and don't have good body language and can't keep your intensity level where it needs to be, your good technique won't matter. So again, yes, technique is very important, but this is just as important, and this will help your technique be better. And the fourth component is called cueing language. So it's cues or short words or phrases that you can say to yourself, your kids, when they're playing a match. Because you don't want to be thinking about all this technique in the middle of a match. That's not helpful. So for me, my cue on my serve is accelerate. My cue on my forehand is strings down. So that gets me where I need to be on my forehand, rather than shoulder turn, drop the racket, do the wrist, you know, all those 3 or 4 things. So come up with a word or two, or a phrase that will help you reset right before the next point. So all of you should know, okay, what's my cue for my forehand? What's my cue for my backhand? How about my volleys? How about my serve? You should have a cue for everything, so that in between points, if you've missed, you can make the correction right away. That's the only reason to pay attention to mistakes, is to make the correction right then. So like, okay, the next time I get that short ball, I'm going to get up to it faster and take it at waist height instead of letting it drop. Next point, because you'll get another ball like that or something similar. So you always want to make the correction so that you're ready. And that's the only reason to focus on misses or mistakes. It's when we give too much emotion, that's the problem, is this, oh, I can't believe I missed that shot, it was so easy. Guess what? There are no easy shots. Don't put a judgment on them. That's what gets you in trouble, is that, oh, that was such an easy shot, and then guess what? You missed the next 3 or 4 points. Watch that this week. You know, you get up and you have a high ball you think you should put away, and you don't. And then count the number of points that are gone.